Welcome to the training webinar. Apologies for being out last week. I got up on Thursday with a very raw and scratchy throat for some reason. Not sure why. Didn't appear to have any other horrible effects, but I didn't feel that I could talk for 2 straight hours last week. So we skipped the last one, and we're just going to pick up from where we were supposed to be on the schedule today, talking about XPath and JSON path. To understand XPath and JSON path, we first have to start talking about business values themselves, especially REST business values. So let's start there. And by the way, I have had to switch to a different mouse pointer device because my old trackball was making my hands sore, or my wrists sore, more specifically. And that was not good, and I don't want to end up with an RSI. So I'm using a new type of mouse pointer. So if I inadvertently click on things or erase things or paste things, because it's a very sophisticated controller, just bear with me. I just started using it yesterday, and I'm still learning my way around it. So here is a REST business value. It's an actual working one. It grabs a set of data from an open source REST service from openweathermap.org. It returns weather data. I think most of you have probably seen its use before, and I have an entire webinar on pulling business values, of which REST is part of it. But REST business values generally are accessed via a URL in one form or another. Now, this is one version of the URL, and in fact, let's switch over to my Visual Studio Code page here, and we can actually see this is the URL that we are currently using in that particular REST service that we just looked at. And this is only one of the possible formats in which we might see a REST URL. There are a couple of different formats that we can use. In this particular case, I do have a parameter that I am using called zip, and that gets passed to the URL whenever the URL gets called, and it fills it in with the zip code. And this is how it gets local weather. Now, this is one way of doing it. And by the way, there's also another one here called units, which is another URL parameter that determines whether I want my weather data back in metric or imperial units. Because I'm in the United States, I use imperial units. And this is basically using URL parameters to determine what data gets returned. There is also this app ID. It is it's just a GUID. Openweathermap.org is free. You can sign up for their API and get a free API key, and that gives you access to, I think it's something like 1,000 calls per hour. So it's pretty generous, and it is a totally free service. So I need to pass, sort of these 3 things to the REST service to have it returned. Now, sometimes the URLs are in a different format. There's a number of different formats, and I'm not going to be exhaustive about how they work, but it might be that what you would see instead is a format like this, where everything is part of the URL itself and not, in fact, sent via, and this will be the app ID. So I should probably just call this my app ID and drop in another imperial, and there may be a trailing slash like that. Now, in this case, the REST parameters are just built into the call URL itself. They're not passed via URL parameter. These tend to be the two primary ways in which a REST URL is constructed. And of course, you have to throw in your particular variables. Like in this case, the one variable that I have to pass is the zip code in this node of the URL. So I just throw my parameter in there. Like I said, these are the two major ways in which REST services get called. These are the two kind of URL formats that tend to be used. So I will go out to this URL, and the URL will return data. It's going to return that data to me in two different formats. It's going to return it to me either in XML, or it's going to return it to me in JSON. As you can see, these are two very, very different formats. So let's talk about them individually. XML is a language that was created. It's not so much a programming language as it is a markup language that allows us to create hierarchical data structures. And it reads those data structures based on where they exist in nodes in the XML. One of the things about XML is that it is highly, highly structured. And every data element has its own name or attribute as part of the data. And they are all clearly labeled. Every node has an opening and closing tag, and the data that is returned by the XML is contained in those tags. So, for example, let's look at this one right here, the country. So I have a tag that's inside the angled brackets, I guess we'll call them, and it's called country. And in the closing tag, there is just a slash. And so this tag is /country. It is the closing tag for country. And so in XML, I look for my opening tag, and then I look for my closing tag, and everything that is between those two tags, which in this case is just the abbreviation US, that is the data that is actually getting returned. So this is not data itself. This is really a data definition. What the XML actually does is return the structure and the data of the table that is being returned as a data set to your local computer. Now, because it is highly structured, and because each node is named, and each node needs an opening and closing node, and by the way, a node can have subnodes. For example, if we look at city, okay, well, there's my opening node. Way down here is my closing node. So technically, inside the city node, I have a subnode that contains these four fields here. And just note, and this is one of those cool little things that you can do in XML. I have this node right here, which is my sun node. And note that at the very end of it, right before I get to my closing angled bracket, I have a little slash there. That closes the sun node. So I could write this node, sunrise, like this. This is one way of writing it. Another way of writing it, if I go back over here to my little free examples page, is to say, okay, well, I want a node called sun. And then I could have another node called rise. And we'll put my angled bracket there. And then we'll do that for our time. And we'll need a closing bracket here. also called rise. And then I could do the same thing for my set node. So I can have my sunrise and my sunset. Oops, wrong key. And then, of course, down here, I would need to close my sun node. And it might look like that. These are two different ways of giving me my sun node and my two sun nodes or sub nodes, rise and set. So I have my sunrise and sunset. I can write it this way, but as you can see, it's a little more verbose, although a little bit easier to read. But I can also, for brevity's sake, include what are called attributes for the sun node. And the attributes themselves are data, and they are accessible through XPath. But that's about the most amount of variation between this line here and, I guess, if I wanted to, expanding it out to make it more readable, this line here. About the only benefit that it provides me is that it makes this a little more readable and a little more understandable if I can read the XML. But this is more verbose. But that's about the limit of how much verbosity, text, length, size of the XML data that I return, because XML is so highly structured. So being highly structured does make it relatively easy to read, and it does allow you to kind of look and see how the data is related, because you can see the hierarchical nature of all of your data, which is nice, but it has a drawback, which is that because it is so highly structured and because every node is labeled, well, it's verbose, and that means that the size of a return data set in XML is probably going to be fairly large. It's just going to be a big chunk of text because there's a lot of, words that have to go into each one of these little nodes that appear in my XML. So it makes it wordy. It increases the file size of the XML file that gets returned. So it has its advantages and disadvantages. Data can also be returned in JSON format. JSON format is very different, as you can see. There's a lot of curly and square brackets. JSON is basically another structured data markup language, I guess you would call it. However, unlike XML, which has a bunch of named nodes, what they did with JSON is that they decided to use JavaScript syntax, or at least JavaScript type syntax, to determine the structure of data. And the nodes in JSON are not named. And in fact, the only way that I know there's a node is by looking at a curly bracket or a square bracket. So in JavaScript, a square bracket is an array. And so anything that goes inside a square bracket is an array, and anything that goes inside a curly bracket, technically the curly brackets are your nodes, and the square brackets are arrays within the node, although that's not a very good example of an array. Down here, I have a better example of an array. So I have a node here that is named array, and here is my array marker, and this array has 5 items in it. Each one of these items are named obviously, item. Now, this is kind of cool. It certainly tends to be smaller in size than a XML return. And it's way more flexible in how you can structure the data, but that is a drawback in and of itself whenever I get a JSON return. And the reason it's a drawback is because I can display the same data in a number of different ways. So, we've already looked at that, and we're going to have to come back to that. But let's go here and look at our sample form. Going to update and run it. And what I have in this particular form, which we cover a little bit whenever we talk about business values and we get to the REST business values part, I have the same information in JSON. And as you can see, this same information can be presented in a number of different ways in JSON. This is something that's very hard to do in XML because XML is so highly structured and the data does need to go into sort of a hierarchical format. I don't have that limitation in JSON, which I guess is good because it provides me a huge amount of flexibility with how I can present my data in the REST service that gets returned. But it does mean that the way that I would have to grab this data is going to be totally different when I am configuring my business value. And that's because in Process Director, when I have a business value, so we'll go back to the one we were looking at a bit before, to be able to extract data from the big text file that gets returned, whether it's XML or JSON, I need to be able to navigate through the data nodes that exist in that REST document so that I can extract specific data items from that document. And there are two ways in which I go about doing that. I either have to use, if it's returning XML, I have to return XPath, or I have to use XPath to grab the data. If it returns JSON in the business value, then I have to use JSON path, and they are not really related at all. They're really two different methods of grabbing the data. There are some similarities to them simply because I'm both trying to parse a structure, whether I'm using XPath or JSON path. But the way that I do that is not really similar. When I create a business value and it's a REST business value, I have to specify how Process Director is going to parse that REST response. Is it going to parse it as JSON, or is it going to parse it as XML? Since this is the XML REST service from OpenWeatherMap, obviously it parses it as XML, which means that I am going to have to use XPath to grab the data. And so as you can see, these are the XPath for each of the values or properties that I place in my business value. I have to put in the appropriate XPath value, since this is XML, to return that data. For JSON path, it's a little bit different. And again, I'm returning the same data in both of these. I'm not sure I meant to make that a favorite. Let me unfavorite. So basically the same thing, same service, still from OpenWeatherMap, but in this case, it is calling a JSON version of the same data, which is the local weather for whatever zip code you pass it. And as you can see, it's slightly different. JSON path and XPath use a different syntax and use different methods. Even if they use the same characters, they often use different, those characters mean different things in XPath and JSON path, which does kind of complicate your job as an implementer because A, you need to know the data structure that gets returned And once you know that, that will determine whether you are going to parse your REST response as JSON or XML. And whenever you start specifying the property values, which of the two, JSON path or XML path or XPath, are you going to be using for grabbing that data? Now, I believe in my form, or in this particular form, I have a couple of URLs. Well, there's the Open Weather Map URL. Here you go. These two right here. This is a JSON path one, and it's really good for learning JSON path. I think XPath is easier to find stuff to help with. I thought I had a help link for XPath. I have given you the Open Weather Map URL. And there's a great JSON path URL, and you can actually play with some JSON. So if you wanted to, grab some sample JSON and play with it and just see how you can parse it, there's some examples of JSON in that form. What I don't have is an XPath version, and I was sure that I had placed it on this form. Perhaps I have inadvertently erased it, or perhaps it's on the XPath JSON path form that we'll be using as we continue. XPath _ intro.asp. It's on this form. So that's the XML. And actually, I have another JSON path link on this one too, which I came across a bit later, which I think I like a little bit better. So it's from smartbear.com. Both of these are, well, the W3 Schools one is literally a course from W3 Schools on XPath and how it works and how you can set it up. SmartBear has another one about JSON path. It gets into a little more detail into the actual commands, but it's not really a training course. It's really more of a reference page on JSON path, but these are great resources to use to learn more about XPath and JSON path. Whenever you are creating a business value and you grab that URL and you place it here. So in this case, I just have some XML and some JSON that I've just uploaded to Process Director so that I can use them as the data source for today's webinar. So they actually exist as part of this XPath and JSON path project. But one of the things that you should probably do before finishing out doing the rest of your REST service is actually taking a look at the data itself. I say one of the things you should probably do. Let me rephrase that. You're going to have to look at that data structure in the original XPath / JSON path. So you're going to have to either display it in your browser or save the file to something like Visual Studio Code and look at it there, but you are going to need to see that data, especially for JSON path, because, and while it is true for XPath as well, as we've seen, I can have the same data and I can present it to you in 6 different ways in JSON path. I don't really have that same freedom in XPath because XML, as I said, is highly structured. But whether it's XML or JSON, I'm really going to need to see that data and see its structure. Because if I don't know whether it is here in the JSON or whether it's here in the XML, if I don't know what each of these nodes are and where they exist in the hierarchy, there is literally no way for me to write the XPath or JSON path expression that will point to the data that is contained in each one of these files. So I have to see that data, and then I can begin writing what the XPath or JSON path might be to a particular node in that data so that I can return it and place that node as a property in the business value so that I just have that data that I can use in the business value just to plug into a form field or whatever it is I need to do for it. So again, let's go back to the country here. So if I wanted to find the XPath for a country, I'm going to have to sort of walk through all of my nodes inside of this document to get to country. Well, the very first node starts at the very top. And this node is called current, which is logical because I'm pulling the current weather for a zip code. So this is giving me current as my first node. Okay, well, there's current. So what's my next? So I'm trying to get to country. So what's my next node here? That next node is city. Okay, so I've got current, then it goes to city, and then inside the city node, indented in here, is country. So current, city, country. In XPath, the way to get to this node would be this: current, city, country. XPath is kind of simple. XPath takes each node and just separates it with a slash. So basically, you treat the nodes as if they were, they're kind of like folder locations. You just put a slash between each node, and using this, XPath should get me current slash city slash country. It should return US as my value. Now, happily, we can copy this and we can test this inside Process Director, because I do in fact have an XML business value that will allow me to grab that data. And it's a pretty simple path, but it is current slash city slash country. So let's update my form now that I have, or update my business value, now that I have an actual value that can get returned. Let's go to our REST sample form. And in this sample form, all I really have are some form fields that I can put up to 4 different properties in, one for XML and one for JSON. So up here at JSON, if we want to get the XML, it now returns US when I click the Get XML button, because using that simple path gets me the value that I want out of my XML data. Okay, well, that's cool. And we'll go ahead and keep this form open so that I can simply re-pull the data as I change my XML business value. Okay, so fine. I've got a simple path that returns me to US. All I have to do is track through the nodes. That's probably the most common way of grabbing data out of XML. It's the easiest way of doing it. But sometimes it's not quite enough, because we go back and we look at our XML again. Let's say that we want the name or description of what our current conditions are. Now, in this particular data set that's part of this project, this is where it is right here, clear sky. But there's a problem. We can find current, that's our first node, slash clouds, that's our second node. But how do I get to this clear sky thing? That's what I need to return. How do I do that here? Because this particular data, well, it's a single tag that doesn't really have, I mean, it has a closing because there's my slash at the very end of the line, but this is not like the other tags where, country, US, country, that's pretty straightforward. This is less so. This node, this clouds node, doesn't have the data stored in its own node. Instead, it has two attributes that are associated with clouds, both of which return data. Now, obviously, value equals 0 it's literally going to return a 0. That is the value. But the name attribute is going to return clear skies or clear sky. Okay, but I have to get to that attribute. And to do so, I have to add in a little special sauce in this case, the @ sign, to specify that attribute. So to pull that attribute back, I'm going to need to use this syntax without the slash there. I think I may have copied a little too much. I'm going to need current / clouds / at name. At the @ sign right here, that is telling in XPath, that's telling process director that, look, we're in this clouds node and that's not where our data is. So we need to put another / in because our data is one level below clouds, but it is not another node. Country is its own node. So therefore, it doesn't need an @ because country is its own value, its own field, if you will, in the data. Name is not its own field. Sure, it is sub-data of clouds, so I do need a / because technically it is a lower level node, so I do need that /, but it is an attribute, so I need to specify it with the @ sign, and then give it its name, which is @ name. And of course, if we go back to our JSON, we can see that name is in fact the attribute that we want. So in this case, I go to current / clouds / and then I throw in my attribute @ name. And with that attribute there, now it knows that it actually wants the value that is contained in the name attribute of the clouds node. Once again, I still need my / because I'm still going down another level in data. But the level that I am dropping is not to another separate node. It is to an attribute contained within the clouds node. And with that set, we can now go back to our form. We can get our XML again. And now I get clear sky in my second text box because it's now pulling the appropriate attributes that I need for that XML. Now, arrays start getting a little bit trickier. Arrays in XML are 1-based. They're 0-based in JSON. So this does get a little bit confusing. So when we say a number is 1-based or an array is 0-based, what we really mean is the very first, each array has an index number. So if I have 5 items in an array, then that array is going to have 5 unique indexes that specifically identify each row in the array. Those indexes are always applied numerically by applying an integer. If an array is 1-based, then that means the very first index of the 5 items in the array will be the numeral 1. And that means that if I have 5 indexes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, pretty easy. Pretty intuitive. We generally start counting at 1. So XML, kind of cool. It's a 1-based array system. JSON path, on the other hand, is a 0-based array system, which means that the very first index is not going to be 1, it's going to be 0. And so if I, again, have 5 items in my array, then my index numbers for those 5 items are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it becomes very important that you understand whether your array is 1-based or 0-based, because you're going to get different data depending on how you do that counting. So let's take a look at pulling data from an array. Now, in our current temperature data, and you'll have to pardon me, I'm trying to talk and copy and paste things at the same time. But in our temperature data, again, let's go current. Let's find our temperatures. Current, city's not it, cloud's not it, temperature. Okay, current temperature. Okay, I've got some attributes. So if I wanted the current temperature, it would be current slash temperature slash at value, and that would give me whatever the current temperature value is. At min would give me the minimum temperature for the day. At max would give me the max temperature for the day. Great. But below that are these 4 rows here that just say previous. Well, these 4 rows are separate nodes of an array. So I actually have an array with 4 entries that tells me what the temperature was in my 4 previous queries of this, or in the 4 previous queries of this. It's just the last 4 runs of this, and it has encapsulated them into an array called previous. I need to be able to pull, if I want, specific items out of that array. So if I wanted the first item out of that array, and I wanted the time that array took, or that array, the time that is listed for that particular element in the array, I would need to do something like this. So now I'm at current slash temperature slash previous, which makes sense so far. Current, temperature, previous. I'm going right through the nodes, but now I've got 4 previous nodes. So now I have to do something different. I have to specify the node that I want to return in my business value. And to do that, I'm going to need to put the index inside of square brackets. So, I'm beginning to think that this might be a little too small to see. So once again, we'll go back to my example here, and I think I can just delete that so that we don't have a bunch of clutter on this page, and I can throw in what the actual XPath syntax is to get to that time. So I want this time value, and I want the time value for index number 1 in my array. And this is the syntax that gets it to me. So anytime that I am dealing with an array, if I want a specific item in the array, then I need to specify it by placing the index number inside that bracket. Once I know which of these 4 items in the previous array that I want to see, then I can put my slash and then my at time, and I can return the time that previous REST call was made. So in my business value itself, I can do that. Obviously, we're going to have to, well, I'm not sure I wanted to close it, but I certainly wanted to update it. So there, it looks like it got updated. So I'm pretty happy there. So now we can go back to our XML form, and I can click Get XML, and it returns 10.18. So let's double check what happened here. 10.18. Let's go back to our XML. I asked for item number 1 of the previous array. It returned 10.18. And so of my 4 items, that must be item number 1 because that's what it returns. So we can confirm there that XML arrays in XPath are actually one based. And so if I wanted to return the third one, then obviously the only change I would need to make here would be to go and change. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong thing. Let's change that 1 to a 3 and update our business value. And then we'll come back here and we'll hit our Get XML button again. As you can see, I'm having a couple of mouse issues. I can't even see my cursor on my screen. There it is. It was on my other monitor. Now, if we hit Get XML, it will return 1205. And that is because I'm specifying row number 3 or item number 3 or index number 3 in my array. So I can pull that out. Very nice. Happy with how that works. It still gets a little bit more complicated because there are several other ways of grabbing data, each of which gets a little bit trickier because there is something called a wildcard that I can use inside of XPath to pull a whole bunch of stuff. For example, I am going to use current/star in my XPath. When we update it, we'll go back over here. And, well, that highlighted more stuff that I wanted. But current/star gets me US minus 25,200, 124,816. Let's go back to my XML. So it's getting me current and it's returning US. It's returning the time zone and the 4281s. What was the number it was returning? Trying to find it. 124,816. 124,816. Where is that being pulled from? It's actually it's probably more than that. I'd have to go and look. What it's doing is it's returning everything in current, which is just not particularly useful. But I think it's probably returning it. That's a single line text box, unfortunately. So I think it's probably returning. Yeah, it's probably returning a whole bunch more stuff than that, but this is a single line text box. So it's not returning me everything, but it's basically trying to return to me everything in current, which is not really useful and not really readable, but it's certainly trying to do it, even though it's having trouble putting that in a single line text box. So, okay, fine. Let's make it a little bit easier for the system to do. And let's just pull some temperature values. So we're going to pull current/temperature at, and then once again, we are using our asterisk sign there. So now, whenever we grab our XML, it's going to give us 7747, 68.56, 85.51, and Fahrenheit. It's returning them all in this comma-separated list. And what it's actually returning from our XML are these 4 values here. That is our current temperature /at star. And that star or asterisk that I'm using just says, okay, I want to return every attribute for temperature. And so it did so. It returned these 4 values, that the value, which is the current temperature, the min, the max, and the unit. Now, it doesn't specify which is which, but it is going to return the values, and it's going to return them all as a comma-separated list. And it's just going to give me everything that is in that temperature node that has an attribute. So that wildcard makes things pretty cool in terms of how it returns that data. Now there is a little easier kind of workaround for XPath whenever you're creating your XPath values. And that is to use, instead of that wildcard there, let's go back to our array. And let's use this one. And I want you to notice right here, well, again, probably for ease of reading, we should probably go back here and drop in our two, uh, our, our, our two slashes instead of a single slash. So far, we've only used a single slash, but we're going to use this two slashes, which gives us like a little wild card. Two, and let me update and refresh my form. Maybe my form could be a little higher on the page. We'll get our XML, and now it's returning all of the times for all of the rows in my array simply by using the double slash at value. So, or I'm sorry, at time. So it's really the time that I want. And I want the time for every node in previous. So all I have to do is just throw in this extra slash before previous, and it's going to give me every item in previous. It's basically going to treat it like a single array field in a process director form. And it's just going to return the time attribute. And since I have 4 elements in my previous array here, then on the form, it's just going to return me my 4 times that are in my previous array setup. So let's do something with that double slash. Again, on a non-array field, we'll go with current slash slash at value. Let me update that. You know, I really should make that a much bigger, a much longer text field. So this is kind of hard to read. So let's transfer the data that we returned using that syntax, and let's paste it back in here. So use, well, that's not the syntax that we used. So let's give ourselves a blank line there. And I appear to have done something wrong here. So let me copy and try to repaste over here. All right. And let's get our data here, current slash slash value. Let me put it up here. So, oh, I'll just type it. Current slash slash at value. So that was what our XPath was. And again, we're using this slash slash at value, but we're starting up at the current node, and then we're looking for value, and it's giving me 0, 77, 47, blah, 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 clear sky, blah, blah, blah. So if we go back to current, we go back to our XML, and we go to current slash value, what is it returning for us? Oh, I guess I need to do that. 0 slash 7747. So 0, no, I'm sorry, 0 slash 7747, 7704, and 45, and 1007, and then 13.8. What do all of these items have in common? All of them have 2 things in common. A, they all exist inside the current node, which is my parent node, so we would expect that. And the second thing is they all have the attribute of value. So clouds value equals 0. Temperature value 77.47. Feels like 7704. Pressure 1007. That all looks real familiar. It's because it is returning a comma-separated list, in Process Director anyway, of everything inside the current node. It's giving me the actual value of every attribute that is named value inside the current node. So it's just grabbing me everything, just as doing the slash the temperature slash previously brought us 4 records back because it brought us everything in previous. In that case, we only wanted the time until it returned 4 times to us. But that slash says, okay, fine, grab me everything that matches. What I'm basically doing is writing a search term with that slash. This basically says, find me everything in current that uses the attribute value. Just like the one that we used previously just a minute ago, and let me repaste it back up here. This says, all right, I want to do a search in current temperature, and then I want you to return everything. That's what the double slash is telling me. Give me everything in previous that has a time attribute. And there are 4 previous records. Each of those records has a single time attribute because I only have 1 attribute per node with the same name. I can't have 2 time nodes in previous or 2 max nodes in temperature. I can only have 1 of each. So it's going to pull back that specific data. So basically the slash is a real easy and simple way of just doing a search of your data. And so by extension, I can, well, that's not the one that I wanted. That's the one that I wanted. So I can work this up a little bit. I can go to current slash search slash val. And let's run my form. And it returns 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. And that's because I have an array inside my XML data. And it's way down here at the bottom. It's called search because that's really what I'm doing. And in search, I have a node called val. So this is a real simple structured array, and it just contains these 5 values, 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. They are called the val. And so I can just return everything in, and this is essentially an array. So I can return everything in the search array simply by using the slash to grab all of the val fields because they only contain a single item. So I can search for basically everything inside current. I can search for everything in an array, or I can do as I did with the previous slash time. I can say, okay, well, what I want you to do is I want you to search this previous array. I want you to return everything from the previous array. That's what these 2 dashes mean, and return all of their time values. So XPath gives me a real convenient and easy way kind of grabbing my current weather. And I think with just those examples, you can see that this is a fairly powerful language for returning data. And I think just these examples will probably cover 99% of the things that you will ever need to do when parsing through XML data and returning it. JSON path works a little bit differently. So let's talk about JSON path. So once again, I'm looking at the sample data in my, let's hit OK. And so actually, Probably should have erased everything so it was already reset for next year or whenever I talk about this again. But let's look at our JSON business value. Basically, same thing. So we don't have to cover any of these basics. However, this time I have something completely different that I have to do for JSON. So whenever we look at JSON data, we've got something different happening here to try to find our data. So once again, let's start off with the current temperature. What's the temperature right now? As you parse the data, if you're lucky, then there will be a written API on how your data works and what fields go where. If you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you're going to have to try to find that temperature somewhere in this data. And it may require some guesswork, especially if you don't control the REST service and you don't really know how to grab its documentation. Fortunately, Open Weather Map has great documentation. And so it does tell you where the data is that you want to return. But if we didn't have that, we'd have to look through this XML to find it. Now, I'm going to assume that temp is the actual current temperature. So 77.52 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's my temp. Now, it's real easy to do this in XPath because I've got all these named nodes. But those named nodes don't exist here. Well, I mean, they do, but not all of the nodes are named. So it's going to take a little thinky pain to figure this out. So the first thing that we need for JSON path is the marker that specifies I want to look through the entire JSON file to find my data. And that marker is, for reasons that I cannot explain and in fact do not know, it starts off with a $sign. So that is my very first character for every JSON path expression that I'm going to write in Process Director. It's going to be star. Then I've got to start navigating through nodes. So star says, okay, start at the top. This is the whole document. This is my global sign. So we're going to look at the entire JSON file. And now we've got to navigate through it. Now, navigating through the XML, like I said, simple because everything has a name. Yeah, well, that's the last time we're going to see that today. Because now we're working in JSON where everything doesn't have a name. Now, earlier, I had indicated that, ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. And why is this? I don't know whether my screen is bad or whether my sharing size is bad. I guess it's my sharing size. I guess I'm not sharing full screen. Okay, well, now I am theoretically, so forgive me for that. Okay, yeah, everything looks like it's somehow I made my screen sharing size too small. So, like XML, JSON has nodes. And as I said earlier, those nodes are generally marked off by the existence of either curly brackets or square brackets. It's really important to make your life easy. I say really important. Let's say your life would be impossible without the ability to use something like Visual Studio Code that formats JSON automatically for me. Because when you get JSON back from a REST service, it's going to be one very long paragraph with everything all jammed together. One of the things that I love about Visual Studio Code, quite apart from the fact that it's completely free, is the ability to just say, okay, this is JSON. I'm going to save you as a JSON file, format this as JSON. And it takes that one long paragraph of JSON text that's all run together in what is essentially a single, very long sentence, and it formats it to look like this. And formatting it to look like this is important because this is how we are going to count our nodes. In XPath, the way that we discriminate between nodes is the slash, or as we saw at the end, the double slash character. JSON path doesn't work that way. The way that we discriminate between nodes is with the period character. So technically, every JSON path expression doesn't just begin with pound or dollar sign. It actually begins with dollar dot, because I've got to get past that first node. So JSON path uses a dot syntax rather than a slash syntax to pull data back from the JSON file that you received from your REST service. So we're going to go star dot, and that dot gets us past the first curly bracket. So general rule in JSON is every time I see a curly or a square bracket, I have a dot. And if you have it formatted the way that I have it formatted, the number of indentations tells you how many dots deep into this you're going to have to go. So once again, let's go back to temperature, which we decided has to be the temp attribute of main. So how do I get here in JSON syntax? Okay, well, I've got star dot, and let's see, coord, no. Weather is our next. I should probably explain this. Something about how JSON works. Every element in JSON, remember I said it returns it to you as a big single sentence whenever you get your JSON back, because it is a big single sentence. Actually, it's a big single comma separated list. And so those commas are super important. So I have a node here called coord, and then there's a comma. So it means it's followed by another node called weather, which is also inside an array. That's going to get freaky in a second, but we'll come back to that. Then I have another node here called base. Again, got my comma at the end. And here is the next node, main. So each one of these are all top level nodes. I've got coord, weather, base, and then main as a top level node. And my temperature is inside the main node. So far I've got global dot, which is my first square bracket essentially. And then I go to main. Oh, but wait, I have another square bracket because this is a comma separated list of values for main. So I now have one called temp. Now in XML, if we remember looking back at our XML, this was an attribute. There was a temp attribute of, I think it was current, or no, I think it was temperature. So there was a temp attribute, or maybe it was current. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was temp. In any event, that was an attribute in XPath because of the way that our XML was structured. Here it's way more loosey-goosey. It's just a node, and there is a node of main called temp, and it should return 77.52. So what that means is to get to that node called temp in main, and again, we're counting our nodes. So there's our first dot. So $ dot main, and then I got another curly bracket. So basically that's another dot temp. That's actually the syntax I need to get to the current temperature in my application using JSON path in my business value. So if we go to the business value, we can go here and we can drop in $.main.temp, and we'll save it. And did I close the form? No, I didn't close the form, but somehow I made it way bigger than it needs to be. So we bring it back to its normal size. So now I'll get my JSON and I will get 77.52. We're going to see a lot of this because I haven't written a JSON path for any of these other values, and it's returning me the entire JSON in there. So we're going to ignore these fields because as we change our business value, we are going to erase the data that's in those fields. So for right now, for example 1, we're doing good. We have 77.52. That's exactly correct. And that is if we go to $.main.temp, that gets us to our 77.52 degrees Fahrenheit for today's temperature. Okay, well, let's try something a little different. And I'm going to do the example first, and then we're going to walk through it. So here is the example. You're going to love this. Star.weather. Oh, I do not want you to interpret me as a star.weather ... main. Every time we see a dot, remember we're navigating through either a curly or a square bracket. So just keep that in mind. And we're going to throw this in for all nodes, star.weather.main, and we are going to update that. I'm sorry, star.weather ... main. And now let's go back to our form. Let's re-get our JSON. And it says clear. So let's look at our JSON and see how we got there. Okay, star. Oops, didn't mean to compress that. Star dot weather. Great. Dot. Wait a second. Did I count the number correct? Well, obviously I did because it returned clear. So it did return clear, right? I am remembering it, right? Yes, it did return clear. So star dot weather dot and then yes, dot main clear. So that returns the value of clear with weather dot main. So each one of those dots, I'm just navigating to a node to get to the next value. I don't need to put anything between those dots. I don't need to, if this was XPath with all of these nodes being named, then like current.city.temperature, or no, I'm sorry, XPath current/city/country. I need to have a name after each slash because each node is named. That's how I navigate through XML. JSON, many nodes don't have names. So unless I specifically want to call out a particular node, unless I want to specify a node, I guess that would be the easiest way of saying it, the dots don't have to have anything between them. All the dots tell me to do is just skip down to the next level in the syntax. And so it just skips to the next level based on the number of dots that I have. I don't have to name anything. It's a lot more verbose. Now, it's super important that I correctly count the number of dots so that I'm actually navigating down through the correct node and actually returning data. So that's why we're having to count through brackets to get to where we need to get to. But that gives me my data just by skipping through the nodes. And not to put anything between the dots. Now, just like we did in XML, I can pull back pretty much everything. I can just do star.main, oops, sorry, star.main. You know what? Why don't I just paste it? Why am I sitting here manually typing it? $.main.star. Now, in this particular case, the ampersand works the way that we would expect it to work. It is, in fact, a wildcard character that will enable me to return all of the data that, well, it's a wild card that means everything. So it's basically going to allow me to return all of the data. So we will go in here and we will paste $.main.star and we'll update there, go to our form and click our return JSON. And now it's going to return everything that is in main as a comma separated list. So once again, let's take a look at what it's returning for us and a format that we can read it. So 7752, 7709, blah, 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 blah. Let's look at our current weather JSON. Star dot main, I'm sorry, $sign dot main dot star, and it's returning all of these items. Now, because I'm using the wild card, it's not specifying what any of these values are. So I don't know, unless I happen to know the order in which they appear. I don't know which is the current temp, what is the feels like, what the minimum and max temps are going to be, what the barometric pressure is, what the humidity is. I don't know which of those they are, but I do know that they're all here because I used the asterisk as a wild card, and what $.main.main.star is okay, go into the main node, $.main, and then .star means give me everything from the main node. So main is one of the root nodes of my document. So it goes into the main node and pulls everything out. So now let's talk about arrays and how they are different in JSON path and from XPath. So let me copy this. Actually, I've got two syntaxes I can use. So we'll use both of them and we'll see how they work. Hope I didn't make any changes to that by inadvertently clicking. Okay, so here are my two choices. I've got array one item. So let me do that. And then I have an alternate syntax for picking out an item in the array, which is $.array.one.item. So I have alternative syntaxes that I can use to return an item. We'll just take a look at both of these real quick. So we'll copy that one. And by the way, we should probably go down here to our array because this is what we're going to start returning. We're going to start returning something from the array node. So note that I have array, and then I've got a square bracket, which in most cases, generally a dot. And then I've got the item, which has a curly bracket, which again, in most cases, generally a dot. Fine. So we have those two syntaxes. Let's go into our business value, if I can find where my business value is. And let's add the first one. So that is $array square bracket 1 ... item. And we'll hit OK here. And I didn't mean to hit OK there because I am going to have to come back here, aren't I? But we will get our JSON. Okay, and this is returning 2. So let's go back and look and see why it's returning 2 to me. We look at our JSON, and I asked for, make this clear, I asked and will ask in both of these cases for item 1 of the array. Now, just like XML path, if I am wanting to specify an item in an array, then I can put it in square brackets and put in the index of that array item. Depending on how many I have, it will be, remember, 0-based, 0 through n. In XML, item 1 is the first item in the array. In JSON, item 0 is the first item in the array. So in XML, if I ask for item 1, I get item 1. It is the first item in the array. And once again, sorry, I am apparently clicking on things inadvertently that I'm not supposed to be clicking on. So where was I? In XML, if I ask for index 1, I get the first item in the array. But JSON path is 0-based. So if I ask for item 1, what I actually get is the second item in the array, because the first item in the array is item 0. So I asked for item 1, and the value that I got returned was 2, which is the correct value because JSON path is 0-based, XPath is 1-based. That's a big difference to remember. And if you are mixing and matching XML and JSON, you're going to forget and you're going to grab the wrong data at least one point during your work with these REST values. I'm just letting you know that that is going to happen. So I'm getting the data I want back. I'm getting 2, which is exactly what I expected to get. Now, I have an alternate syntax for this to grab that array. What I can do is I can just treat that array and that index, rather than going array1 ... what I can actually do is just go array.1.item. And so basically the dot here between, or the item here between the two dots, that's just the specification of the array. I will tell you, of the two methods, the second one is the one I prefer. To me, it gives me a clearer idea of where we're going. Okay, I know it's an array because it says array. But even if I didn't know that that was an array, the fact that I went dot and then I had square bracket 1, end square bracket, that would tell me automatically, this is an array field. So it's pulling back an array of data, and I am wanting to pull back item 1. So with this syntax, which would be the syntax that I would prefer rather than the ... Let's go to the right place. We'll highlight that and we will paste our syntax in there for that one. Update, and we will go back to our JSON. Well, it returns 2. That's not very helpful. That doesn't show us anything different. Let's make it show us anything different. Or let's make it show it something different. Let's go for array item 2 rather than array item 1. Although we now know that it works because it returned a 2, let's have it return a 4 to us this time by just changing the array number. so great. Two different ways of grabbing the array. Now, I want you to notice in this particular one, because JSON is highly unstructured, whereas XML is highly structured, I can present an array to you like this. Now, in the array here at the top, I always have item. So if I prefer the 3-dot syntax to get to, item 1, then I've got item as an actual name in this array to specify for my syntax, which is, what I did here. I always know that I'm going for the item. But your XML might not be that clearly marked. I mean, this is just as valid of an array as this. I don't like array2 because I would prefer that it be a little more explicit about what I want. But if we're just going to name everything, why not just use XML? The key advantage of JSON is that I can take the same data, and by using conventions like this, I can format that data so that it is far less verbose than I could ever do in XML. And that's the real key advantage, is that the amount of bandwidth that I need to return the same amount of data in JSON as opposed to XML is almost invariably smaller in JSON, unless I decide to make the JSON just as verbose. I mean, I certainly can do that, in which case I'm not going to save, any bandwidth at all. But the advantage of JSON is that you can save bandwidth. And so I can return, theoretically, in JSON, I can return very large record sets with an infinitesimally tiny amount of actual text data that has to be transmitted over the interwebs. And so it allows me to pull back much larger data sets without appreciable performance impacts that I might have using XML. I think on a day-to-day basis, if I'm pulling back, 100 records, say, I'm not going to notice any difference in XML and JSON. On the other hand, with this ability in JSON, with what I'm doing here in array2, the size of array2 is, just in this example, is half the size of array1, simply because I am deleting let's see, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters per array item. So the number of characters has dropped from 12 to 3. So this array is, in point of fact, just in terms of the data itself, this array is 1/3 of the size of this array in terms of the data that I'm getting returned. This array that I have highlighted is much closer to how I would do things in XML. And while this is great, it makes your life easier to have, each array item specified. If I really care about bandwidth and I'm sending a lot of records where I will notice performance differences, once I start getting, not just 100 records, but 1,000, 10,000, and I have to pull all of that text across the internet for 1,000 records, that's going to be a fairly large document in XML. It could potentially be a document the quarter of the size of the XML document if I pull it back in JSON. So that's JSON's big advantage. Of course, the big drawback is the data is not labeled as clearly. and I need to be more familiar with the data as an implementer so that I know how to make the appropriate JSON path structure whenever I'm trying to use this REST service in a business value. JSON is going to complicate your job of building business values because it's just less obvious what everything in the JSON file is, which, by the way, again, is why it is extremely important that you have a tool. And it could, I'm not married to Visual Studio Code. You may love LaTeX. You may love Notepad plus plus. I don't care. I'm not making recommendations, except that whatever you're going to use, you need to be able to format this JSON as JSON. Because if you can't, you are just going to be lost. And if most of your JSON data looks like Array2, you're super going to be lost because it's going to be much more difficult for you to figure out how to pull this data back. Now, there are differences if you have this sort of, less obvious structure and naming convention in your JSON. Usually, again, in order to save bandwidth, that's fine. You can live with that. You can work with it. For example, I don't really need the name. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't need the arrays named in JSON because I still have, well, I do need this. I do need this name. I do need to have some sort of a node I can grab. But if that node contains just a general unlabeled array like this, it's not that huge of a problem because I have the ability to pull it like this. So I have Array2. It has its nodes. It is an array. So if I want to pull, index 4 from Array2, and index 4 from Array2 would be 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 16 will be the value for Array 4, or for index 4, which is, again, 0 based. Index 4 means item 5, because item 0 is my first item. So we can go in here, we can erase that, and we can paste in our Array2. So it's $array2 and then 4 in square brackets. So it just says find Array2. Already know that it's an array. Return me index number 4 from Array2. Super simple. It will do that. And I'll hit JSON and it will return 16 in V4. Now, I am not going to get too deep into how to do this. I really do suggest, if you're using JSON, that you go to this link at SmartBear and go ahead and look at this JSON path document. In fact, while we're here, let me just open up a tab and I'll just show you what it looks like. Basically, it's a run through of JSON path syntax and how filters work in JSON path, and also several examples, how to use expressions in JPath, in JSON path. So it's basically got everything you need for, again, 99% of what you're going to do is going to be in this document at SmartBear. It's really great. Love it. It's one of there are a couple of places that are pretty good with JSON path syntax, but for whatever reason, SmartBear knocked it out of the park with this documentation page. And so if you really want a great overview of how JSON path works, you need to go here because they have a lot more examples, but I'll give you a couple. So let's do this. Actually, I said I'd give you a couple. I actually have a couple of examples of doing the same thing with different syntax. So We have a little bit more wild card freedom here in JSON path. Because in JSON path, I can look at, in this case, we're going to use our original array. And remember, our array has each item is labeled as item, which is an attribute. So we're going to throw this in and we'll look at the results, and then we can see the results, and we'll walk back through what I did here so that you can say, I see what you did there. And for some of you, you may already see what I've done here. So we're going to change this, and we're going to drop that in like that. And we're going to update it. Go back to our form. We're going to run our JSON. All right. What we're getting is 4, 8, and 16. And we will look at our syntax. Well, let's look at our JSON. And we used array, and we pulled the item. And what we got back were these 3 items here, 4, 8, and 16. So let's look at our JSON path. And what did we do? $.array dot. Okay, that gets us to our array in current weather JSON. So that gets us here. Then I've got this square bracket thing. Now remember, square bracket means I'm looking for I'm looking for an array item. But inside the square brackets, what I actually have is a query. Now, we are not going to get into the details of building queries, but, well, I probably should have highlighted this bit. This is a query. This is a query that basically says, I want you to look inside the array, and I want you to look at the index for each item. And I want you to pull me the index for each item, basically the top 3 items that are in my index. So when you look at the index, I want you to find all of the index numbers, or find the index numbers, and I want you to give me the last 3 items out of the, or the last 3 values out of the items that are in the array. So if we look at our array, it's asking for the last 3 items, the 3 highest index numbers in my array in the items field. And the last 3 are 4, 8, and 16. So I can actually do search queries inside JSON path. I can do search queries in a way that really isn't built into XPath. It would be cool if I could do that, but JSON path is fairly sophisticated. Well, there's a reason why. It's 10 years newer. And so we learned a lot in that 10 years, because 10 years is an eternity in computer science. But in JSON path, I have the ability to build relatively complex queries to pull out specific data via JSON path. I can do that in a way that I can't really do in XPath. That's one of the things that makes JSON path in equal measures frustrating and satisfying, because I just have the ability to do data mining using simply JSON path to pull back, specified data. Like in this case, I don't even know how big the array is. I don't care. Just give me the last 3 items in the array. And it's just going to pull the last 3 items that are in the array, whatever they might be. And it doesn't care how many items are in the array. It's just going to grab me those last 3 items. So it's super powerful JSON path, more powerful than XPath, but again, more confusing because of the extreme amount of freedom that I have to pull the data. And there is one more thing that you need to look out for whenever you're building this. I think we're pretty much done with our examples here. But there is one thing that you need to keep a lookout for. And you know, these two work fine. So because the top part of these at least were ones that I literally pulled off of Open Weather Map. I'm returning the same data. Now, it looks a little different in temperatures and stuff because I pulled them at two different times. They were probably about an hour apart. So there are obviously some differences in the actual like temperature values or maybe wind speeds or whatever. Who cares? Important thing to remember is that these are two web services that were called from the same REST service to return the same data, both in imperial measurements, both from both from the same zip code. The only difference in the URLs, and I guess we don't need that anymore, so I'll close that. The only difference in those URLs is one element. So if we go to currentweather.json, okay, where is it? Well, let's just copy both of these. Well, I guess I needed that. I guess I needed that document after all. There's one URL. And go here, copy. And here's the second URL. The difference between these two URLs is that. That's the only difference because JSON is their default return. So if I want it in XML, I can have it. And I just put in mode equals XML. Other than that, everything else is exactly the same. All of the URL parameters are in the same format. The only difference is mode equals XML. So what you would expect in most cases would be to see very, very similar structures to the data, even though they were presented in the same format. But that's not what you see. I'm actually getting two very, very different data structures. For example, my latitude and longitude, $.coord.lon for longitude, $.coord.lat for latitude. Okay, fine, easy enough. But if I go here, current/city, which came in from nowhere, and then coord. Well, wait a second. Where is city over here? City? City, are you there? No, it's not. I really have two different structures. And by the way, not really the same data. For example, my clear sky is in a unit called, or is in a node called clouds. And in current weather, I have two things. I have both clear and I have clear sky. And one is main and one is description. So clear, the description is clear sky. And they're in the node called weather. Do I have a node called weather here? No, I don't. Essentially, while I'm getting the same data, Well, kind of. Oh, country is way down here in cis. Okay, sure, whatever. I'm getting the same data, but this is a completely different structure. I mean, the nodes don't even appear to be related in any noticeable way. I mean, sometimes the names are the same for the attributes, maybe, but I have completely different data structures. So, word to the warning, or word of warning, not word to the warning, word of warning, or word to the wise. I tried to say both at the same time. That didn't come out well. Word to the wise. If you have an XML business value and you learn, hey, there's magically a JSON version and you would rather use JSON, or vice versa, you have a JSON thing and you would rather use XML. Okay, weird flex, but fine, use the XML if you want. It doesn't just mean that you can go into your business value where it currently said current/clouds at name. And that doesn't mean that you can just go, oh, well, all I really have to do to fix this bad boy up is go star current dot clouds. I don't need the attribute. So dot name. There we go. That'll just grab my data. That'll be an easy fix. No, it won't, because there is an excellent chance that the data structure of a JSON and XML REST call that are both returning putatively the same data, there is an excellent chance that the data structures between the two will be so completely different that you might as well start from scratch. So don't fool yourself into thinking that you can swap between, XML and JSON and everything is just going to work, because what you get back in those two different formats may be very, very, as they are in this case, coming from the same web service. They're distantly related to each other. Sure, all the data exists. The trouble is it's in a different structure and has different attribute names. So it gets super confusing trying to switch sometime between JSON and XML. That's just something to keep in mind as you're moving forward. Having said all that, we're done. That is the show for today. Thanks for joining me today. I always appreciate the fact that you do. I'll look forward to talking to you again next time. Until then, so long.